Get yourself an OP farmer with the tried and true FrostQuake Shaman. We're going to use the 2-piece bonus from the Shattered Lance set, combined with all the health regeneration we can find to boost Earthquake's damage to insane levels. We're going to go over our passives, then skills, then gear, and as always, there'll be a link to the build planner and a loot filter in the description below the video. We're looking for attunement, strength, health and health regen, cold damage and penetration, and then any damage reduction we can squeeze in. Starting off in the default Primalist tree, we're going to get 8 points into natural attunement, or attunement, and some lightning and cold resist, 8 points into primal strength for strength and health regen, 3 points into hunter's restoration for increased health and health restored on hit, and then also a point into harmony of blades because we're going to want to dual wield for extra stats. That'll get us to 20 points so we can move into the other trees. In the Beastmaster tree, we're going to get 8 points into Ursine Strength for strength and reduced damage from nearby enemies, 5 points into Boar Heart for aspect of the boar when hit, that's going to give us extra damage reduction, 2 points into Call of the Pack for a little extra health, and then 8 points into Natural Fortitude for some strength and health regen, and the important 6-point bonus, which is increased health regen per strength. In the Druid passive tree, you're going to want to eventually max Chitinous Plating for extra endurance and armor, and also Druidic Prowess for extra attunement and strength. Keep in mind I'm leveling these last after finishing the Beastmaster and Shaman trees. In the Shaman tree, we're going to put 8 points into Shamanic Infusion for some extra attunement and elemental penetration, a point into Silent Protector for a little bit of extra totem armor and increased mana regen when we have a totem out, 5 points into Totemic Fury for increased attack speed when we have our totem out, 2 points into Windbringer for a little extra cold damage, 6 points into Earth and Supremacy for extra attunement and endurance threshold, plus the 5-point bonus that gives you stun avoidance per attunement. You're going to want 5 points in Shattered Heavens for some extra cold damage, 5 points into Glacial Strike for strength plus the bonus, melee cold penetration per 3 points of strength. You're going to want 4 points in Fist of Stone for shared increased stun chance and endurance, plus the 4-point bonus, which gives you extra health regen per uncapped endurance percentage. And then you're going to get Elemental Shrines, 5 points for attunement and the bonus, increased mana regen. 4 points into Swirling Maelstrom for a chance to cast Maelstrom when hit, health and mana, but importantly the 4-point bonus, endurance threshold per Maelstrom stack. I usually hover around 12 stacks of Maelstrom when I'm playing. And lastly, 8 points into Ironbark for a good dose of health and armor, plus the 8-point bonus, health regen per 3 attunement. Now onto the skills. Starting off with our main damage spell, Earthquake. We're going to get 3 points into Crushing Wake for some extra aftershock damage and stun chance. We're going to put a point in Upheaval so that our aftershock hits are now damage over time scaling. 3 points into Unabating for more aftershock damage. 2 points into Lethargy for slow chance. A point into Torpor for some slow duration. And then an important one, Buffet. Increased stun chance, but more importantly, increased mana efficiency with Earthquake because it's a very expensive spell. You're also going to want to get 2 points into Outbreak to make it a little bigger and move along the path. An important one is Shatterquake. 200% extra damage against chilled or frozen enemies, and all the enemies around you will be chilled or frozen from your Maelstrom running. You're also going to want 2 points in Magnitude for more aftershocks, and then a point in Divining Totem so that the aftershocks from Earthquake appear around your totems instead of you. And that's going to give you a little bit more leeway when fighting bosses, being able to run around and still damage them without having to be super close. In this build, Swipe is more of a buff skill than a damage dealer. You're going to want 5 points in Aspect of the Panther for extra damage per stack. You're going to want a point in Feline Hunter for more attack speed. 2 points into Lion Strength for more stacks, plus more damage per stacks. 5 points into Sabertooth's Endurance to make it last longer and give you more health regen. And also a point into Twin Fangs to get a little bit of extra crit multiplier. Over on the other side, you're going to want 2 points into Blood Beast for lead chance, so you can get down to Rending, for some physical shred, and importantly duality of nature, which will give you some mana gain when you're not transformed and hit people with it. Warcry is a big convoluted utility spell. You're going to get a point in Staggering Roar for a little knockback, but then Shallow Breath to increase the cooldown by 5 seconds so you can get over to Totemic Heart. This is going to make a Warcry totem wherever your cursor is when you use the Warcry skill. And that's going to send out aftershocks from your Earthquake spell. You're also going to come over here and get Juggernaut for some invulnerable after using it, a point into Breath of Atara for some healing, a point into Purging Shout for cleansing ailments, very useful, and then 4 points into Whirlpool so that every time you use it you get 4 stacks of Maelstrom at half the mana cost. You're also going to want a point into Berserker so that you get Berserk when you use melee attacks under the effect of Warcry. You're going to get Brutality to make those Berserk stacks last longer and have more stacks. And then 3 points into Fury Strikes for increased attack speed when you have Berserk active. You're also going to want to put a point into Deep Roar to make it a little bit bigger, a point into Yorman's Wrath to make the stun turn into a freeze, but that won't matter. You're just using this to move on the path. A point into Frigid Breath so that enemies hit by the Warcry will take extra damage. 2 points into Frostclaw so that you deal increased damage when under the effects of it. And a point in Bringer of Winter for increased crit and chill chance when under the effects of Warcry. Maelstrom is another buff spell for us, and it's also going to constantly enable the Shatterquake node on Earthquake. Remember, extra 200% damage to chilled or frozen enemies. So you're going to want 5 points into Arctic Chill to guarantee chill chance on enemies around you when it's active, 2 points into Turmoil to make it a little bigger, and then 3 points into Beneath the Waves. This will give you Lagan's Slumber, which means every time you cast Maelstrom, you're going to get extra stacks of it based on how many seconds you've gone without casting it. So instead of having to stack it up yourself one by one, you can do it 3 by 3 now. You're also going to want 2 points into Whirlpool to make the duration of it last longer, 2 points into Turbulence for a little extra damage so we can move up to Calm. 60% increased mana efficiency, very nice for having to always refresh it. Plus a point into Windswept to give you haste when you have 6 or more stacks. I usually hover around 12 stacks of Maelstrom when I'm playing. And then a point into Wind Fury for Frenzy with 6 or more stacks. Fury Leap is both our traversal and another buff spell. 5 points into Warrior's Entrance will give you extra damage for a few seconds when you use it. A point into Frenzied Onslaught will give you Frenzy for a few seconds after you use it. 2 points in Wings of Endurance for a little health restore when you land. And then a point into Battle Bloom for ailment cleansing when you land. You're also going to want 4 points into Panther Strike for damage, but more importantly, cooldown recovery. A point into Hurot's Protection so you're immune while hopping around. 4 points into Crater for reduced mana cost mostly, but also increased area. And then 2 points into Savage Impact for a little more damage and some health leech. This build will be crushing stuff as soon as you unlock Earthquake, but it's going to really get crazy as soon as you can hit level 68 and equip the Shattered Lance set. Very easy to farm from the Stolen Lance timeline. Other than that, all you really need is Call of the Tundra. It gives a bunch of great stats for this build. And then you're going to be looking for melee cold damage, cold penetration. See if you can find yourself an Ice Scepter with cold damage and penetration on it, which I couldn't. You're going to want increased health regen, strength and attunement, and then start working on all your resistances, fitting those in where you can. You can also use idols and blessings to boost your resistances where you need to. Other than that, health regen per second, increased health regeneration, not increased healing. Increased healing received does not help this build at all. I opted for Uran's Wisdom because it gave some extra health and melee cold damage, but you could get away with a nice stat heavy chest piece like this. I've got more health regen, cold damage, mana regen here. Mana regen is pretty helpful also because Earthquake is an expensive skill. Got some more mana regen and health regen, a little bit of endurance here. Same thing here, cold damage, mana regen, health regen. Another good option for your main hand, or what I call the main hand, is Yuren's Penance. Perhaps because of the cold damage leached as health and the cold penetration, you can get some high values there. All in all, this build is really easy. As soon as you get the Shattered Lance set online, you'll probably be regenning at least half your health per second, plus getting a huge dose of extra damage because of that. And in the blessings, one important one is chance to summon Totem on hit. That'll give you another way to get aftershocks from your Earthquake spell from your totems. Throne of Ambition is always good for elemental builds with the plus cold damage per stack. One last thing, for early game, dual wielding Cleaver Solution is a really good choice. Gives a ton of extra physical damage plus 1 to all skills for each of them that you have. For blessings, you're going to want to get Void Resist from the Black Sun timeline. From Reign of Dragons, get all resists. For Ending the Storm, this one's really important. Rhythm of the Tide, increased health regen, so I hope you enjoy fighting Lagan. For Spirits of Fire, you're going to get some extra armor, and then for Age of Winter, you're going to get percent armor. Everything else is just increased drop rates, increased experience, boring stuff like that. Like I said at the beginning, this build will just crush any boss you put in front of it. It's a fast and efficient farmer for monoliths. Your health regen and high armor should keep you safe from everything except extremely high damage one-shots. So I hope you enjoy rampaging through the game. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to, and I will see you in the next one.